Hello everybody and welcome to the United Stand. This is Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's top 5 transfer targets. Very different. Normally we would do this and we'd have 5 midfielders or 5 right backs or 5 centre backs. We're looking at probably United's last signing, maybe not, but probably United's last signing of the summer, and it doesn't encompass 5 midfielders or anything like that. It could be one player from 4 different positions. So we've got 5 players, and I am going to make a prediction that United's next signing will be from this next 5, which is very difficult. And actually, I wouldn't mind being wrong, because if they're not in this top 5, it could be something really, really exciting. And I always like a signing that's very left field and comes out of nowhere. So we're going to start off with Kieran Trippier as the number 1, and I am ranking these in order of what I think. If this was a betting thing or a percentage thing, I would say that Trippier probably is around 70%, 7 out of 10 chance that we're going to get him. Kieran Trippier, right back. We've been linked to him all summer. We were looking at him back in January. United have this tendency that when they're linked to a player and it's long-term linking, we do end up getting them. Lindelof, we looked at in January, got him in the summer. Bruno, we wanted in the summer, we got him in January. Sancho, we wanted him in the summer, we got him the next year. So we have consistency around this, and we do want Trippier, and we have been looking at him for a long time. And Trippier does want to come to United, so it's got all the ingredients for it to happen. Whether it should happen or it shouldn't happen, look, at the end of the day, if Trippier comes into this club, he's a La Liga winner. He's played in a Euros final for England. He will want to play at right back for Manchester United, and that puts Wan-Bissaka's place in jeopardy. And now a lot of people will say, well, that's a good thing, and a lot of people will say, well, look at what it did to Luke Shaw with Telles. But I think we're very lucky with the Telles and Luke Shaw thing. I think Telles came in, Luke Shaw was already on an upward trajectory and then became one of the best left backs in the world. Telles is never going to shift that. Do you think that if we buy Trippier, Wan-Bissaka is going to suddenly be the best right back in the world? I don't think he is, because I think Wan-Bissaka is on an upward journey and he's still inconsistent because he's still learning his game. I think Luke Shaw had Telles come in when Luke Shaw was just entering his prime. So he was basically in his prime. Wan-Bissaka's not going to be in his prime next year or the year after. And I actually think Trippier coming in could derail Wan-Bissaka, because I think Trippier could push him out of the team more than Telles has with Shaw. But United want Trippier. I know a lot of fans think it's a good deal. He is a good right back. I've got nothing against him. He's a good right back for what United need. We need more competition there. But I think it could have a detrimental impact on Wan-Bissaka, because I think maybe United are thinking, and some fans are thinking, oh yeah, look at what Telles did to Shaw. But Shaw was at a different stage of his career. Wan-Bissaka is still learning. And look, he's going to have to learn from Varane as well. He's not just going to suddenly flick and be the best right back in the world. And look, maybe Trippier can take him to that next level, but there is a risk attached to it, certainly. And it's money on Trippier. We're not getting him for 15 million. We might have to pay 25 million. And that's more money on a right back who's a backup when we need a midfielder. Onto the midfield, option 2, and the second favourite, I would say. And I think with Camavinga, I'm probably sort of 40% now. 40%, 4 out of 10 chance. So not 50-50 yet, but 40% if Trippier's 70%. We like Camavinga. Manchester United like Camavinga. They're trying to keep it on the down low. They're trying to, we're monitoring the situation, but he wants to go to Spain. That's the sort of thing. The same thing was said with Varane. United have let it be known that with Varane, even up until last week, they were not 100% sure that he was going to come. They wanted him, but they were sort of thinking maybe it's going to be, maybe he's going to change his mind and stay, etc. I think with Camavinga, they're probably doing the same thing again. I think there's interest in Camavinga from a lot of clubs. United like Camavinga. Camavinga would like to come to Manchester United. We've spoken with Rennes. We've spoken with his agent. But the issue here is that other clubs have spoken to him. And whilst Camavinga would like to come to United, I think he'd like to go to PSG. I think he'd like to go to Chelsea. I think he'd like to go to Real Madrid. So he's not dead set on United. And I think that's why United are playing it a little bit cool and saying, we're monitoring, but we're not so sure. I do think Camavinga would be a priority for United if they got the go-ahead to do it. I'm not sure why we haven't put the bid in, because he's ridiculously cheap for the talent he is. £25 million. It's, we paid £15 million for Dan James. We paid £50 million for Fred. So, value for money isn't a problem here. 25 million isn't a problem for United. They know they'll get that 25 million back some way by selling some players. So I just think with Camavinga, United are probably just waiting for the nod from Camavinga's camp to say, yeah, let's come and do the deal. And that could happen at any time. So, look, I'd take Camavinga. He's a midfielder. He is more of a box-to-box midfielder, but then he has played as a holding midfielder. So, and I think he could play there. And if United are going to play more expansively, then maybe you could play with Pogba and Camavinga in the midfield too, and they're more expansive. And maybe Camavinga just sits back a little bit in his first years, and we develop Garner for a year for next year, and then Camavinga moves to where Pogba is and Garner comes in. So, you know, I think it'd be an interesting signing, and I'd certainly say he's the second favourite, but he's a midfielder. Trippier's a right back. Sticking with midfielders, look, United do like Declan Rice. Manchester United would like to sign Declan Rice. I know there was that story that Declan Rice likes United more than United like Declan Rice. That's not true. Declan Rice does like United, but he prefers Chelsea and always has done because he's a Chelsea boy and he's a London lad. So, you know, if United offered the same money as Chelsea, he would choose Chelsea. That's football. That's the way it works. You know, you don't always have a player that's desperate to come for you. Sometimes you end up getting a player that wanted to go somewhere else, but he's really happy to come to you. And I think if Chelsea don't go for Rice and United have the money for Rice and they offer it, Rice will come to us very happy and would probably stay with us for 10 years and finish his career here. So that's just the way it is. John Terry was a United fan. He's a Chelsea legend. So that I don't get worried about where players want to play. I think Luke Shaw's a Chelsea fan. So is he United, one of the best left backs in the world and committed to United, so and loves being at United. So I'm not worried about that. The thing with Declan Rice is I'm a big fan of Declan Rice. I wasn't 18 months ago. I thought he was a bit overhyped. Having watched him a lot over the last year especially, I think he's got better and better and better. I think he holds the midfield really well, and I think that's what Manchester United need. The problem with Declan Rice is, do Chelsea want him? Can we afford him? Yes, Chelsea. If Chelsea want him, he's going to go there, and they can afford him. If he doesn't go anywhere, can we afford him? I think we should try to afford him. I think a summer of Rice, Sancho and Varane is an excellent summer. You know, you couldn't argue with that. But do I think we'll get Declan Rice? I would say we've got a 2 out of 10 chance, 20%. I wouldn't rule it out because I think United have done big things this summer. But do I feel it will happen? I think there's a lot of hurdles to jump there, internally and externally. But I would like him, and I think he would be the holding midfielder that we need. Option 4, Pau Torres. This'll people probably go, what's he talking about? What's he talking about? The only thing yellow that should be on this video is the yellow on Goldbridge's t-shirt. But we've got the yellow of Villarreal. We don't really want to see that again after they beat us in the Europa League final. But this is in here as option 4 simply because, and I'd say there's a 20% chance with this one as well. So 2 out of 10 chance. Low, but I'd still put him in the top 5 because we do want another centre-back. I don't know why we want another centre-back. I suppose we've got Maguire, Varane, Lindelof, Bailly. That should be enough if you're playing 2 centre-backs. I just wonder whether Solskjaer is thinking about playing a back 5. We've heard all summer that we're going to play with one holding midfielder and we're going to play more attacking. But we also heard at the start of the summer that we're going to play a back 5 with Wan-Bissaka as a right-sided centre-back. Is this why we want Trippier? Is this why we want another centre-back? Are we looking to now replicate what Chelsea do and a couple of other clubs do? Are we looking to play with 3 centre-backs and 2 wing-backs like England do? I bloody hope not. It's the most anti-United thing ever. But having said that, football does move on. Man United for me are a back 4 and wingers. That's what we've always been. I don't want to see a back 5, but I tell you what, my eyes are wide open to there might be some hints that we are looking to do that. Solskjaer said last night, Varane allows us to play in different ways. Ways could be one holding midfielder. It could also be Lindelof, Varane and Maguire and a back 5. So, the back 5 can work well, and there'll be people in the chat going, no, you can play well with the back 5. You can. We can. But I wouldn't trust Solskjaer and his coaches to use a back 5 in an attacking way when we played with a back 6 for most of last year with a back 4. So I don't like the idea of a back 5. And imagine if we played imagine if we replicated England. Imagine if we had a back 5 and McFred. Oh my God, it makes me want to throw up. But we do want another centre-back. And I think that with Koundé going to Chelsea, and we were linked to Koundé after Varane as another centre-back. I don't know where we would have got the money from. The reason I throw Pau Torres in there is because we know Varane was first choice, Koundé was an option, Torres was an option, Ben White was an option. Well, Torres is the only one left that was an option. And if we are going to buy a centre-back, I suppose he's the most likely one. How we would do that deal, I don't know. I think it's unlikely, but we do want another centre-back. I suppose the question is, why do we want another centre-back? And it could be that we are going to play a back 4, and we know that Eric Bailly's going to want to go. But I tell you what, if you had Pau Torres, Victor Lindelof, Rafael Varane and Harry Maguire, I can't see that you're just going to play 2 centre-backs. I really can't. I'm worried that we're going to play a back 5. But look, maybe I'll be wrong about that. Maybe I'll be wrong about back five working. And then option 5, sadly, for many of you, I think this is the most unlikely one, but I've put him in the 5. And look, I think we will sign one of these 5 players. Maybe 2, but one of these 5 players. Ruben Neves, who can play in that holding role. Yes, he plays more of a pivot with Wolves, but he can play that holding role. And he almost is the successor to Moutinho, who he plays with Wolves. So I think he can play that role. He can take the ball off the back four, and he can be a tidy, understated player. He's a good tackler, he's a very good passer, and he can play in that role. And I think he's becoming, for United fans, the ideal signing in many ways. I think a lot of people would like us to get Ruben Neves. I mean, one thing we haven't spoken about, well, I suppose we have done, 25 million for Camavinga, probably 20 million for Trippier, 80 million for Rice, Pau Torres probably somewhere between 40 and 50 million. Ruben Neves, probably anywhere between 35 and 40 million, considering what they sold Jota for a year ago. But I just think he's unlikely at the moment. I think there is a lot of noise around Ruben Neves from people I don't think are very credible in relation to transfer news. I don't think that they're terrible, but I think credible people are not giving us anything about Ruben Neves. It's an option, but I don't think it's an advanced option. And I think fans really like Ruben Neves, and I get that. I can see why they would like that. But I'd put him in the top 5, and I would probably say again he's 2 out of 10. There's a 20% chance. So let's wait and see. But I do believe that we will buy one of those 5 players: Trippier, Camavinga, Rice, Torres, or Ruben Neves. I do think we will buy one of those 5 players, and that's why I've listed them as Solskjaer's next transfer as a shortlist. Obviously, it encompasses a few positions: right back, centre back, holding midfielder, box-to-box midfielders who could become holding midfielders. If I had my choice, I think it's very obvious what I would go with. I said at the start of the summer, we need a holding midfielder. The best holding midfielder in my mind out of those 5 options is Declan Rice. He's the most expensive option, but I think, sometimes they are the expensive option because they are the best option. Like they are, you go down the restaurant, you want a really nice steak. Do you go rump? Do you go sirloin? Do you go for the best steak they've got? It's up to you. But if you want the best, you've got to pay the price for it. And I think that Declan Rice is the one on that list that fills the whole best that we have, which is the holding midfielder position. But I think United will price themselves out of that, even though I think it's the right decision to make. Trippier, yeah, look, he's the number 1 choice. I wouldn't be surprised if we got Trippier and no holding midfielder. Ruben Neves, Camavinga, I would be very happy with those. I mean, the thing about Camavinga, as I said this morning, is 18 years of age, would he end up just being one for the future? Ruben Neves comes in, he can't be one for the future at 24. So, yeah, I get why people want Ruben Neves. Let's just wait and see what happens with that. One thing you can say is, though, especially in relation to all those positions, United can't argue that they're being priced out of the market completely. They can't argue that there's no value in the market, and they can't argue that there's... I think Chelsea and Man City have got a problem. They need a striker. Haaland is going to cost silly money because Dortmund don't want to sell. Harry Kane is going to cost silly money because Spurs don't want to sell. So you've got 2 fantastic options for your striking position, but you're going to have to explode massive money to get them, because after those, there's no real top quality striker available at a decent price. United, okay, Declan Rice is the number 1 target, really, I think should be, and he's very expensive, but there is an underlying value for money option: Ruben Neves, Bissouma, Saul Niguez, Camavinga. These options are very reasonably priced. So United have to get a midfielder. They don't have to. They may choose not to, but they can't. Anybody with a brain knows we need a holding midfielder. It's not like there's one option and they're 90 million and we can't afford it. There are 3 or 4 or 5 options, and some of them are very reasonably priced. So let's see what happens with it. Anyway, make sure you smash a like on the video. Just a quick sort of update on what I think are Ollie's 5 targets. And it's interesting that they encompass 3 or 4 different positions as well. What would you go for? Smash a like on the video, subscribe, get your comments in below, and I'll look forward to reading them. Speak to you in a bit. 8 o'clock show live tonight as ever.